class that I'm giving every week in November. So let's get going. Let's get started. Present. Okay. Great. So, hi, my name is Marcus, for those who don't know me. Good to meet you. I own the AI Consulting Lab, which is pretty self-explanatory. I help people learn how to use AI to do more with less effort. And so tonight is going to be about teaching you how to become an expert at using ChatGPT, even if you've never done it before. So we're probably going to go for about an hour. Juan's here. We're probably going to go for about an hour. This is going to be a majority me talking at you and explaining concepts. I will go in and we can create some prompts together, and I'll show you some best practices and talk about some of these things, so how you can now start going in and doing some of these things yourself using this as soon as tonight. So to get started, what are large language models? So essentially, ChatGPT, large language models are very, very sophisticated word prediction engines. So if you think about your phone, right, you've got the next presentation, the next letter, the next word on our phone, it's this on steroids. So what's happening here is that this model is trained off of 175 billion parameters for ChatGPT 3.5 and 1.6 trillion parameters for GPT-4. And so what it's doing is it is looking in its database to see the relationship between words that it is trained on. So it is looking at the relationship on all of its training data to try to come up with an answer that makes sense for what the prompt that you have given it is. So as a result of that, it has gotten extremely good at giving you words that make sense one after the other. So what are the differences? GPT 3.5 has a scoring system when it was trained, so meaning that the researchers essentially asked ChatGPT 3.5 to give some responses based on a certain prompt. And what they would do is they would rank that this was a good output, this was a bad output. GPT-4 at a very high level has something called reinforcement learning with human feedback. So in addition to this is a good output, this is a bad output, the opposite way, they also added comments like an English teacher would for a paper, right? This is a bad output because this, this, and this, or this was a great output because of this fact and this fact. And so it gave it additional flavor and context to its training data. So it now has that additional feedback based off of the prompt and what it generated to then go and reference for future iterations. So that is the biggest difference between these two, and the reason why ChatGPT 4 is so much better at providing better answers and more nuance to an answer that you get out of it. All right, so we'll quickly run through some of the features of ChatGPT so you understand what we're doing. What I've found is that some people don't know like how to even get started, right? Where are things at? And so this is intended to be very, very basic and take you from beginner to expert. So the custom instructions, think about this as the instruction manual for ChatGPT. In the System Assistant in the Playground, the non-commercial version of ChatGPT, there is something called a System Assistant. And what that System Assistant does is basically you put information into the System Assistant and the model will give extra weight to what that says to influence what ChatGPT will give you in return. So an example of that is if you used the System Assistant and say, write like Shakespeare, every response that it gives will be written like Shakespeare. So the custom instructions work somewhat similarly. So you go in here into the custom instructions and you provide information and background about your business so you don't have to constantly feed it information about what you do on a daily basis, right? So Chris's is going to be all about Best Day, and Juan's going to be all about medical massage. Brian's going to be all about business, right? So in addition to those instructions, you have the opportunity to provide information on how you would like ChatGPT to respond. So Brian's is going to be very educational. Mine is filled with metaphors and examples and analogies. However you like to present information, the bottom section here is a good place to tell ChatGPT how to present that information. You can also give social post examples. You can give writing examples of how your literary style is and how you write words. That talks about giving it an impersonal and unauthentic feel, Lonnie. So that will help out with that. I won't say it will do it perfectly, but it will help out with that. So this is where we're talking about custom instructions. So how do you get to the custom instructions? I'm going to go over that later. I don't want to mess up what we have. Essentially, it is in the very bottom in the left-hand corner, the 3 dots. There's the menu there. You'll have custom instructions right there, and you can open it up and put that in there. Browse with Bing, pretty self-explanatory. This is a feature that was added earlier in the year, but they took it out because of some unfortunate things that when people asked for the full text of a website, it was giving the full text of a website, and they were concerned that they weren't being able to credit the author of the website properly, but weren't concerned about pulling all that information to train the model in to begin with. So now it's back. And what Browse with Bing does is that it will use an intelligence to understand when is the proper time to go out and search the internet using the Browse with Bing feature, or should I just answer it with my training data? You can prompt it to go out and search manually. Please go search the internet for this information, or you can give it a link to actually go and crawl that website and pull the information off of that specific URL. I don't really use it that much. I just use one of the plugins. Advanced data analysis. This is formerly called Code Interpreter, one of my favorite features, to be honest with you. This is the ability to upload files directly into ChatGPT to interact with them. So if you have a long document, if you've got a Word document, if you've got an Excel spreadsheet, you can upload those files directly to the chat box and you can interact with it. So I don't have a specific reference and citation on this, but I believe that the rough character limit, the rough page count you can upload that it will be able to handle is about 200 pages. So if you upload a book, go ahead. Additionally, Code Interpreter allows you to do things with code, right? So if you are coding something, you want to write a website, this is the place to do it because it has the functionalities and capabilities of writing code, correcting code, analyzing it, things like that. So if you're looking to code things or if you're looking to do things that require code, this is the place to do it. You can also do graphs and data visualizations with this. So a really cool use case that I did for this last week is that I'm working with a nonprofit, and they are looking to provide evaluation statistics for their grant writing process based off of the things that they're asking for money for, right? They say, we're going to go and do these things, and we expect this outcome. And so they keep track of all of these things, and they put it in a spreadsheet, right? And so they took all the activities, and they took the number of improvements, and we chucked it all in there, and we said, please give us a chart and graph based off of that. Yes? Yeah? What?
Yeah. The first question was, can we ask questions?
Can you ask questions? Yeah. Sure.
Okay. What kind of outputs can you expect from that? Like you upload a spreadsheet, you wanted to analyze the spreadsheet, are you getting a spreadsheet back?
Yep. It will give you a spreadsheet back, yeah.
In a file format?
In a CSV, in a full CSV format. So that same organization, I worked with their accounting department. They're looking to go from QuickBooks to or Sage to QuickBooks, and they were looking to transfer some of the information. So we pulled down some of their reports in QuickBooks, and unfortunately, we couldn't do exactly what they were looking to do, but we did some extra manipulation with it, and we basically said, clean up this information, take this column out, look for discrepancies between this one and this one, and consolidate all the information together. It pulled all of that, and then it exported a new spreadsheet with all that information out of it. So really cool tool with this. Great question, Brian. Thank you. So file exports, you can do it as a, don't quote me on this, Word doc, PDF, and Excel spreadsheet, I believe, as well as the code formats too. So like .json and things like that. Chris, somebody's at the door.
It's unlocked.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
You're saying data, we're talking numbers. Can I actually do 200 pages of words and ask it to summarize?
Mhm.
I can't.
Yeah. Try it. So I will tell you that the longer, so we're going to get into token limits in a minute, but from the token perspective, I'm just going to say this and take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it as the gospel. It's good with the top part. It's good with the bottom part. It can lose some focus in the middle. So be aware of that if you try to do something like that. Plugins. All right, so plugins are essentially can be termed web extensions for your browser, right? Chrome and Firefox, they let you do certain things that the browser doesn't normally do. Same thing with plugins. It's just code that is written into ChatGPT that it allows ChatGPT to do certain things, perform calculations, provides coding, things like that, that it doesn't natively do. You have to enable plugins, and then you have to go and choose which plugin you want. You can only do 3 plugins at a time. There is a whole host of different applications for plugins, anything under the sun. You can create your own plugin if you want. There's 129 pages currently in the store. So lots of plugins to do a lot of different things. This expands a lot of the capabilities with ChatGPT, especially early on before they added Code Interpreter. Like being able to chat with a PDF was a big deal. And so there were a lot of PDF plugins. Web browsing is also a big deal. I'm going to go through, well, I actually took those out, but the web browsing plugins and the PDF plugins are some of the most common ones that work the best. I will say also too, the majority of the plugins in the plugin store don't really work that well. So test them out, but don't expect everything to work exactly as it should. All right, DALL-E is the image generation. It just came out, so you may not have access to this just yet, but essentially you are now able to ask ChatGPT to create you an image in the thread, and you can then go and use that image for whatever you want to. So pretty cool. Not much extra to talk about there. All right, shared links. This is a cool feature. So one of the really great use cases for this, let's say you're running an organization and your team doesn't really know how to work ChatGPT that well, or you want them to start from a specific point. So you build the basis and the foundation of the thread in ChatGPT, and then you share that link with them, and then they can then continue that thread from there. So you've already set a certain step-by-step process, for example, and you want to share it with your team, hit that link, you're going to be able to share it, and they can pick up the conversation from there. You can also go into the settings, and you can manage your shared links. So you can delete those, or you can go right back to the thread that you had originally shared. This is all of these things are going to be in the bottom left-hand corner in your menu. All right, the chat history and the training, very important. Anything that you put into ChatGPT is going back to OpenAI. Just be aware of that, right? So none of this information is private. You are agreeing to giving up your IP once you put all this information into ChatGPT, unless you go into the settings and turn off the chat history. So what that does, this is what it comes up with. Essentially, it cuts off the rest of your history. You can't access previous threads. You can't access any of that information, but it's not going to send any of the data that you put into that window back to OpenAI to be used in future training. So if you don't want something that's maybe you're working on a proprietary property, intellectual property, right? And you don't want them to have that, turn on the chat history training. On this thread as well, the API, if you're using a developer, if you're developing things and you're using the OpenAI API key, that also does not get sent back to them for training. It does get stored for 30 days for monitoring for misuse and abuse, and then it's purged from the system. Otherwise, they do not keep it and send it back for future training models. Lots of businesses are doing that now. All right, so token limits, very important. So what is a token? A token is essentially 3/4 of a word. Depending on which model you use, they're all going to characterize it a little bit differently, but essentially they're breaking that word down into something called tokens. And what are the token limits for the different models? So ChatGPT 3.5, has a token limit of 4,096 at its base. They also have added a 16,000 token window for ChatGPT 3 as well. So essentially you're looking at 3,000 words in your input in the prompt as well as the output that it's getting out, right? So if you go in and paste 2,700 words in your prompt, it's not going to let you do it because there's not enough tokens for it to give you the answer. You have to be aware of that when you're putting in your information. ChatGPT 4 has 8,000 characters or tokens in its limit at the base level, but there are also higher limits for developer access that we have access to, just depending on how your relationship with OpenAI. You can also go up to 32,000 tokens on GPT-4, so around 24,000 words or so. This is not, we're not talking about other AIs here, it's really about ChatGPT, but Claude 2 is Anthropic's large language model. Very, very strong competitor to ChatGPT, can take up to 100,000 tokens just naturally, and it's free. So Really great alternative if you don't want to use ChatGPT. It's also tuned to be more literary. So take that information and do what you will with that. Okay.
Missed the other question.
Yes.
Said it's free. Does that mean ChatGPT is not free?
The base ChatGPT 3.5 is free.
Okay.
The plus version, GPT-4, plugins, DALL-E, code interpreter, web browsing, that is $20 per month. Well worth the $20.
That's the best $20 you ever spent on your business.
Well worth the $20 for sure. So similarly to token limits, there are unofficial thread limits to ChatGPT. And I say unofficial because you can put as much information as you want to in there, but you need to understand that if you go dump 20 pages of data and you do a bunch of stuff, and then you ask it to remember something at the very top of the thread, there is a really good likelihood that it's going to hallucinate the information and not remember the context. Just because what I like to tell people is that there's a fixed window that we have in the memory of these threads. And the more stuff that you put in it, that window starts to slide down. And so if you're asking for something up here, it's not going to remember it, right? It's a good likelihood that it will hallucinate. And a hallucination is that ChatGPT wants to give you an answer. And if it doesn't have the context of what the thread is about, it's going to make it up. That's what a hallucination is. Oh, just going to laugh. All right.
That it can hallucinate.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better at it. All right, so we're done with the boring stuff. Let's talk about the cool stuff now. So we're going to talk about how to create an effective prompt. And this is not an exhaustive guide, but it's a way to get you a good, strong foundation of how to do this and what to include in it. And by doing this and kind of like working with this prompt framework, you'll start to understand what is important, what isn't important, how to put this information together to start crafting some of your own prompts. So the first is going to be role. So what is the role that you want ChatGPT to assume, right? So some common roles that I like to talk about, right? Act as a direct response marketer, act as an email copywriter, act as a sales manager. So ChatGPT is trained to be a very generalized, smartest individual on earth, right? It has all of this knowledge in its training database, but if you ask somebody that knows all of this information about an obscure topic and you don't provide much detail about what they're supposed to provide the information about, chances are you're going to get a generic answer. So by selecting the role and narrowing the focus to a specific area, you are telling ChatGPT, hey, you need to go look in this area of your brain to start providing me the answer for it. So providing a role narrows the focus and it kind of sets the stage of what type of environment it should be giving you information back in. So some common roles, direct response marketer is what I like. I'm a marketing person, so copy, right? Headlines, landing page copy, anything designed to sell. Email marketing specialist, obviously for email. And then sales manager, great for analyzing or writing emails to clients, writing proposals, crafting presentations, things like that. So be sure that you're selecting your role and understanding what is the output that you're looking for when it comes to the role that you've selected, right? So the output, what is the type of information that you are looking for with ChatGPT? Are you looking for bullet points? Are you looking for a specific structure? Are you looking for a table format? So giving it an idea of what the output is supposed to look like is going to help improve the output and the quality of the information that you get, right? So this is also a great place to put in the example of what type of output that you want, right? So I want something written in 200 characters, or I want something written in 2 paragraphs or 6 paragraphs. Or I want an example like this, and it's talking about what is the type of information that it should be giving you, right? It should be informative, or it should be educational, or it should be funny, whatever else. Give examples and context of what the output should be. So I'll talk about this right now, but I also will probably talk about it in a bit. When you're looking at giving examples of what you're looking for, it's very important, and you'll understand this if you do it enough, but it's very important to additionally instruct ChatGPT. The example that I'm giving you here is only to be used for illustrative purposes. Do not use this information to influence the output. Because if you don't tell it that and you give it an example, let's just say a social post, right? This is the example that it finally, the straw that broke my camel's back. I was trying to get it to write a specific Instagram post in a certain way. And every time that I did it, it would pull information from that example to flavor the output. And it drove me up the wall. And so finally I was like, don't use it. It's just for an example. Don't use the information. So that is something very important. If you're putting information in there, you need to instruct it to not take that information to influence the output that it's going to give you. All right, limitations. What are the constraints that you want to put on it, right? So this is where we talk about no more than 100 words. Don't talk about it in this tone of voice. Don't use this jargon. Don't present the information in this way. Don't put it in a table format. Don't use JSON format. So a lot of times when you're asking for something and you're asking for things like a list or bullet points or things like that, it will give you a format that is all janky, right? And so you can set the limitations inside of the prompt to say, don't do it this way, please provide it in this direction, or write it in this tone of voice, avoid writing any industry jargon, or only write using this literary style. So limitations are very important. Extras. So this is for everything else that you want to talk about, right? So crap in, crap out when it comes to ChatGPT prompts and responses. So this is where you're able to put in all of the information that you need that is relevant to the output that you're looking for. So information about your business, information about the product or service you're trying to talk to, background information, any other examples that you may look for. So this is where the area that you can put all this information in, as well as instructions on how you want the output to be coming out in a certain way. So pretty much anything else that's catch-all that didn't come in to any of the other three framework components is going to go into the extra section, right? The last one, you can also specify the manner of speaking or the vocabulary, such as speaking like Yoda from Star Wars. That was just for you. If you want to reference links or specific data for ChatGPT to pull from, this is a good place to put it in the extra section. So keeping the prompt clean. This is really important because, as I said with the examples portion, the model is a word prediction engine, right? And so it is trying to predict, based off of what you've given it, the most likely set of words that's going to come next. And so you can see, if you are putting in a bunch of information and there's no separations, there's no page breaks, there's no paragraphs, commas, anything like that, you're improving the chances that you're going to confuse the model. So A, first, use proper sentence structure, grammar, punctuation marks, things like that. B, using something called a delimiter is 3 characters that don't, in a row, that don't naturally occur in the rest of your prompt. So just these are 3. You really only need to use 1 or 2, honestly, 2 different kinds. It's your personal preference. But using these things is signifying to ChatGPT, this is a separate set of information than what you were than the section before, right? And so I take it a step further and I will instruct ChatGPT, if I'm going to include information like examples or writing styles or anything like that, I will say, below you are going to get some example content from my resume, delimited by // and I'll page break and I'll do the 3 slashes. And then I'll put example resume content, paste, and then 3 slashes at the bottom. So now you have designated this clean section that is labeled with the content, and ChatGPT knows that this is a cordoned off section of information and it is not relevant, or it doesn't contain a continuation of the rest of the information. So you're keeping this data clean. You want to be sure to use it at the beginning and the end. At the very end, it's not super necessary, but like, you know, if you don't have to start with one at the very top of the prompt and then do one when you're ending and wanting to put in a new section. Just if you're doing like an example, right? Top and bottom, and then maybe you're doing a different example, top and bottom, and then you can just leave it at the end, right? So experiment with it and see how you get your responses. Can't really see this, that is unfortunate. So to round out your prompt, this is like the super great question. To end it, ask ChatGPT to ensure that it understands what you're looking for. 2 questions that you can ask. Your task is to do this task. Do you understand what I'm asking to do? The second one is, do you need any additional information from me to do your job? Those are 2 questions that you can ask. And when you do that, You can do them together or separate. But if you do the first one, it's going to say, yes, I think that based on what you said, you are looking to do this, this, and this. And it's going to basically provide what it thinks you meant by your prompt. And so when you do that, you're giving an opportunity to yourself to correct the information that ChatGPT will give back to you, right? So if you didn't do that, it's just going to go with what direction it thinks that you want it to go, and it may not provide you the right answer. But if you ask this question, you have kind of like this opportunity to stop and say, nope, we need to bring it a little bit to the right, and we need to do it this way, right? So asking for comprehension gives you a little bit of leeway to correct and make sure that you're on the right path for getting the correct answer that you want. Do you need any additional information from me? You as the user, you're now giving an opportunity to yourself to provide extra information that you may not have thought about, but ChatGPT will be able to answer for you, right? It's providing you with some extra context. Well, in order to do this, I typically am going to need this, this, and this information, which you have not provided to me. It's not always going to say that, but something similar to that, right? So you're giving yourself an extra chance to provide as much information as you can to ChatGPT to give you an answer. Similarly, you can, after that, after you're done with that, you can say, please ask me 10, 15, 20, whatever it's going to be, 20 questions so that I can answer those questions for you to give you the best possible information to achieve the goal of the prompt. So that one is a very, very powerful move, right? So you're asking ChatGPT to provide you with questions that you can then go in and answer and give it all of the context that it may need. This is really good because I like to talk about ChatGPT as being a perspective expander, right? So Misty doesn't know, no offense, a bunch about marketing, right? She is in the process of developing her website, right? So if she wants to go to ChatGPT to write her website, she absolutely could. But she's going to say, okay, well, I need a headline and I need some bullet points and, you know, a description of my services, right? And that's it, right? But there are FAQs and all this other stuff that you can put on to make a comprehensive website that she doesn't know about. And so take that across any number of applications, whether it's websites, marketing, business advice, anything like that. Expand your perspective because you don't know what you don't know. And this thing knows what you don't know. So ask it to ask you some of the questions that it would need to give you a comprehensive answer. Love this prompt. Yes, do you have a question or no? Solid one. You can ask me a question if you want to.
I was going to say, if you take one thing from tonight, is ask GPT to ask you questions.
Yeah.
Like, because it makes it so much easier. It's like when somebody's interviewing, you ask you questions, you're just flowing, giving it what they want, what, you know, to make the story more interesting.
Yeah.
And like something pre-staged.
You know, in that same vein, this is kind of like a big part of how I got to where I am today, is because I would always ask, after I felt like I had been exhaustive in my prompt and I got a lot of the information back, I would always ask, is there anything else that you think that I could add to this to make it better? And that was another question that I did just kind of unconsciously. And it said, well, I think, you know, depending on what it was, I think you've got a pretty good comprehensive offer here, but you may want to consider this, this, and this question, or adding in this information to this information. And then I would follow that up with, okay, why would I want to do that? What benefit is that going to give me? What are some examples of some answers that I might provide to you that would make the offer or the prompt or whatever better? Like just interacting with it as if it's a real person or a coach or whatever it's going to be.
Honestly, you're learning so much.
And you're learning, right?
So much shit that you need for your business anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So again, perspective expander, right? You don't know what you don't know. So asking those things, and you can start with very, very basic information. I want to create a website. What are the best practices for creating a website? Give you some best practices. Well, what are the sections that need to be on a website? Here's this section. What kind of information should be in those sections to affect, you know, change to get somebody to book an appointment, right? It's going to give you that. And you just kind of keep asking those questions. And when you get the responses back from ChatGPT and you see something in one of the responses, you can zero in on that thing and ask it to elaborate on it and ask it to give you more information and give you related questions. So just keep asking questions and getting information back just depending on what you're looking for. All right, so prompting the model to think. This is particularly helpful if you're looking to do a systematized process, right? So the example that I have here is to summarize a text. So the way that this works is you think it's a little bit counterintuitive because it's a machine algorithm, and why would a machine need time to think? But if you force ChatGPT to go through a set of processes and a certain set of steps, you're making it go step by step and explaining its reason. And again, you're looking at the word prediction engine here. So if you're making it provide each step one at a time, it is going to be able to then go back and look at its database to see what are the other examples of the next step. What are the following examples? So you're forcing it to slow down and improving the likelihood that you're going to get a really comprehensive continuation of that answer. So prompting the model to think is counterintuitive, but it's very helpful, particularly helpful if you want it to solve math problems. So it's not really good at math. If you ask it to do math, it can. The news that you may have seen is that ChatGPT is getting dumber. It's getting dumber at some things. Math is one of them. So where I got this from is that I think I listened to. It was in a course from deeplearning.ai, and this is where I got this information from. And they gave the example, what's 76 times 24, right? And it spit out the wrong answer. But it did the same thing. What's 76 times 24? Write out your process for how you arrive at the answer. So it would answer with the wrong answer at the very top of the prompt, and then it would go step by step. First step, add this plus this, then divide, blah, 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 whatever else. And at the bottom, it was the right answer. So that's the kind of the proof of getting it to do it step by step and to get it to where you want, right? So think about steps and SOPs and how you do things on a day-to-day basis. And if you have something that maybe it doesn't always give you the right answer that you're looking for when you're looking to do something, figure out what are the steps that it needs to take to get to that right answer, and then save that as a prompt that you can use in the future. All right, best practices. So I think I might be close at the end here. Be clear and specific. So again, I'm going to keep harping on this fact that it's a word prediction engine, and it is looking for relevance in its training data set to provide you an answer. And so if you are adding in a bunch of extra fluff that is only somewhat relevant to what you're looking for, you're increasing the odds of it choosing the wrong words in the word prediction string. So give it as much information as possible, but don't give it any extraneous fluff that really doesn't add any value to the conversation. Don't just spew hot air at it. You're just going to confuse it, right? Don't be vague with it either, right? So the kind of the same thing. Don't make ambiguous statements that's really unclear, or be vague with it. Be clear and concise and specific, and only put in information that you think is relevant to what you're trying to do. Treat it like an expert, but not a human. It knows everything for the most part. But again, you have to get it to a point where it is on the right track, it's in the right area, and it's talking about the right thing. So if you are looking at, let's take a break. Who has used ChatGPT extensively? Most, some of us. Okay. What is your average interaction with it? How many interactions do you have? 10, 5, 4?
Per day, per week?
Just in a single thread.
Oh, in a single thread.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
How many back and forths?
I'm worried that that window thing you were talking about is gonna forget what we started with. So I generally take the information. I started doing this last night. Copy the chat and then throw it in and share the link in a new chat. And that way I'm like, hey, can you look back at this conversation? How we do earlier? And then continue the conversation. So I feel like that might not. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
How many back and forths?
Probably 20.
20, okay. You max it out, Juan? 15. So I talked to somebody, an agency owner, they tracked theirs, it was 29. Mine's long. Mine's probably much longer. That I don't have the data on it, but it's longer. It's that window.
It's a lot longer?
It's bigger than you think it is.
Okay, that's good to know. How long? How many responses? How many replies? 50,
40,
100?
50.
50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it also depends on how much the responses are, right? If you're asking for 700 words in a prompt,
Yeah, I ask it to build me entire business courses.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a great example, right? You took the course on how to create a course, right? I was one of the first people actually to create a course with ChatGPT way back in November before the history was even a thing on the side, and I made the mistake of trying to do it all in one thread, like the whole thing, the whole course, the outlines, the quizzes, the video scripts, everything. And because I knew what I was asking for and I knew the information that it was giving me was good, I really wasn't paying attention to what I had already created at the top. And so specifically, when I did the video scripts at the end, because I was doing a video training, when I sat down to actually record the video and I looked at the script and I looked at my notes, I was like, holy shit, this is not the same thing. It's not even close to the same thing. So it didn't remember the context of what was at the very top of the screen or very top of the thread. So be aware of it. Like, don't like do the whole thing in one thread, but you can do a lot more than you think. And also like work, like I say the number of interactions going back and forth. If you're working with it and you say, I don't like the way that you worded it, please do it in this tone or this direction, or please, I want to communicate this aspect of the topic that we're talking about. It'll give it again. Okay, you nailed this part, but it's still not quite there. On this specific section or this paragraph, I want you to talk about it in this tone of voice and use this vernacular, this jargon, whatever, right? And you kind of keep working that and keep refining it and getting the information to the point where it is in that authentic tone of voice, because it's going to try to give you the information that it knows from its training database, but you know information as the subject matter expert, and you can direct it to pull specifically from that point of view in that direction. So don't be afraid to keep working it, and treat it like an expert, but not a human, right? So you have to guide it, like you have to treat it like an untrained VA that you have to train to get it to a point where you need. Provide context and examples. We talked about this earlier, right? Crap in, crap out. So if you're giving tone of voice examples, information about your products, information, context about your business, how you go to market, like all of these things in your prompt are going to influence the type of information that ChatGPT is going to give you out of it, right? So again, we talk about generic answers, inauthentic answers, right? If you're talking about how you specifically approach a problem or how you will solve somebody's specific issue that they're looking for, it is going to use that as its frame of reference and scope to give you an answer based off of that, right? So I spent a lot of time actually, so I created an automated content system to where I drop in a voice recording to a Google Drive, it transcribes it, puts it in a Google Doc, and then sends it to ChatGPT to create a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a LinkedIn post, and an email newsletter, and it's going to email it to me. I spent a lot of time giving ChatGPT a database of how I approach problems, how I solve things with marketing, how I write copy, my thoughts and ethos on how I do business, and all this information. So it uses that as context to flavor how it's supposed to write in my style or write or solve problems when I'm asking it to do things. So providing context and examples are a great way to get closer to where you want it to be.
Can you just say again, how do you get it to find all of that?
Yeah. So natively within ChatGPT, you can't really do it unless you can put it in the custom instructions. So it has to be able to go look at an external database to pull that information. And that can look like a lot of different things, but the best solution that's currently out is something called a vector database, which is, it's math nerds. Essentially, when you do this, when you upload it to a vector database, it converts it into coordinates and it puts it in this black hole of space and math computations. And it converts the different aspects and the different words. It's really nerd stuff right now. It converts the information into coordinates that ChatGPT is able to reference on the when it's queried against, right? So if it's looking for information about my product, it's going to go and look for the coordinates that talks about the product, and it will pull the information from that segment and bring it into the prompt. So essentially, that's how that works at a very layman's level. But you have to have an external application to do that. There are a lot of solutions out there that are pretty friendly customer facing. Like there are chatbots that you can train on your company data for really cheap a month right now that use the same technology. You can use something like Make.com or Zapier. They have databases built in that you can just very easily reference that information. It's not the same thing as the vector database, so you can't put as much information in there. So depending on the amount of information that you want, you can do it in several different ways. So, but you can't do it directly in ChatGPT. That's using the API. All right, rinse and repeat. I talked about that just now, right? So working with the prompt and the response to get it to a point where you're happy with it, right? So didn't like this part, didn't quite nail the tone of voice here, you didn't convey the information that I wanted to there. So point it out and then put that back into your prompt. Conversely, if you are getting some good points in some of the generations, this is for applications or times when you are maybe not quite as certain on what you're wanting on the output, and you're asking for ChatGPT to give you some stuff. Give me some recommendations on this topic, right? Or how to do this, on how to write a landing page. Okay, I like 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6 suck. Keep those 3 and give me 10 more suggestions. And you can kind of keep doing that, and you can get to a point where you've kind of curated the information that you think and you feel is really good, and that is the basis that you can say, all right, based off of the things that I've selected, now please redo the prompt. And you rinse, repeat until you get to a point where you feel you're happy with it. All right, last one, keep an eye out for inaccuracies. It does hallucinate. So your job is to be the steward of information and never publish things without reading it first, right? Because you don't know when this thing is going to hallucinate, and you don't want to have egg on your face when you publish something that's incorrect, right? So keep an eye on that. All right, plugins. Ooh, this is, okay, I did do a list. So these are the plugins that I use that are most helpful for me and also for other people. Browser OP is a web browsing plugin, so it allows you to browse websites. What's really cool about this is that it can do multiple versions of a website. So instead of just a single URL, it can do multiple URLs. That is a big advantage over the other one called WebPilot, which only does one URL. Block Atlas, it pulls information from the US Census data. So as a business owner, you can use it to identify potential locations for business, understand the economic status, look at geographic information, data-driven decisions on marketing strategies based off of demographic trends, all of this good stuff. So you need to know what your people are doing, where these people are, how much money they make, all that good stuff. Block Atlas will help you out with that. Ask Your PDF, very easy, very self-explanatory. You can upload a PDF to their website. It's like you enable it in ChatGPT. You say, I have a PDF I want to talk to, and it'll say, great, please upload the PDF here, and I'll give you a link. You upload the PDF, and then you paste in the little ID number that it gives you, and then you can go and interact with that document from there on out, right? So it will give you the information there.
PDF is coming to, it won't need a plugin soon. Reading PDFs from GPT.
Well, you can read a PDF natively with Code Interpreter.
Right. Sometimes it won't.
Sometimes it won't do it, yeah. Sometimes it won't do it. So keeping this as an option.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And also too, with Code Interpreter, if I didn't mention it before, I don't think that I did. It's not going to store that PDF or that document, that Excel spreadsheet. It's not going to store it for long term. So do all of your stuff at one sitting. If you come back 2 hours later, it's going to be gone. You can still work with, if you pulled a bunch of information out of that document in Code Interpreter and it's in the thread, you can still work with the information that's in the thread, but if you're asking for new information from the document, it won't be able to do it because it's not going to keep that document long term. So if you're using Code Interpreter and you're uploading things specifically, it's going to say attachment unavailable if you come back to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's not going to keep it long term. Zapier is an automation tool. If you want one software, if you want one software to talk to another software, Zapier is the tool to do it. You go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I want my CRM to talk to my website, and I want it to do this. When this happens, I want it to do that. And it will go and it will create the automation for you and give you a link to go to Zapier to actually execute it. So really cool if you've never used Zapier before, or if you want to start automating some of your business, it will create the things for you, and all you have to do is then go in and add the information for your accounts and and what you want to do.
It's pretty user friendly too.
It is.
Believe it or not, it walks you through all the steps. And
Yeah. And you can also ask in the thread, in the Zapier thread, well, it's asking for this information. What information is that? And it's going to give you the information that it's looking for.
GPT is the best tech support you could ever ask for. I'll go to GPT before I make a phone call every time, and they know more about
With web browsing.
right.
Craftful is a business coach plugin. So if you're looking for adding new business ideas, no offense to Brian, running audience suggestions like creating ideal avatars, like running ideas by those avatars, Craftful is a great way to do that. It's going to give you some suggestions from a business coach perspective. So it helps you kind of understand what you don't know about your product, things like that. There is an AI for that, also pretty self-explanatory. So if you're looking for a certain thing, so use case, one of my clients recently was looking for an AI tool that will build him a website just on the fly, and go in here, I want to use a tool, I want an AI tool that will build a website from a text prompt. And it will go out and will do the things that it does, and will give you a list of AI tools that will help do the thing that you're asking for it to do. All right, custom instructions example. So this is a example prompt that you can use that I would highly suggest you guys put in your custom instructions, even if you don't use it. It basically turns ChatGPT into a gig worker, so a VA. So every time that you put in a prompt, I want to do this. I want to create a landing page. What this is telling it to do is give you a step-by-step guide of how it thinks that it should go about doing the task, and ask for any follow-up information if it's missed anything to do its job effectively. So essentially, if you don't know what you're doing and you have this custom instruction put on, you can use ChatGPT at just like the bare base level and say, I want to do this. And it's going to help you become the best prompter and the best worker that you can be to give it the information that it needs, like we talked about earlier, to get the job done. So this is really, really helpful. The last one is a prompt generator prompt. So this is for something that if you want to create the best possible prompt, ChatGPT knows how to prompt itself. So it's a sequence, basically saying, I'm going to give you my initial idea. I want to create an email sequence. And then ChatGPT is going to request more details, right? 3 to 5 specific details about the original prompt in order to fulfill the obligations. You're then going to provide answers to ChatGPT. This is a back and forth interaction over several steps. You're going to provide the answers, and then you are going to act as a professional prompt engineer and to create a more detailed prompt for ChatGPT, combining my original prompt along with the additional details that I provided, and put this out in a new prompt for ChatGPT and ask if I'm happy with it. If I'm not happy with it, I will give you additional suggestions on why I'm not happy with it. You'll take those into account, rewrite the prompt until I am happy with it. I also put in here, follow the role prompt framework to create the upgraded prompt. And then finally, if you fully understand your assignment, please reply with how may I help you today? So that is assuming confirmation. You're asking ChatGPT to assume confirmation. So, I wonder if I turn this automation on. So if you can if you want this presentation, text FWIM to that phone number and you'll get a link to this deck. That is the end. So 2 things before I move on. This what you just witnessed and what we're about to continue talking about, because we have 40 minutes essentially, is that, Brian, is this me AI generated to be super buff?
I'm working on it. I have updated versions.
So what we just did, and what we'll do for the next 40 minutes, was the first class, the first part of my 4-part ChatGPT intensive for doing all the things that you need to learn how to market your business effectively. So this is going from ChatGPT beginner to expert. The next 3 weeks are going to be 1 hour per week on Monday. For next Monday, we're skipping the week of the 13th, the 20th, and then the 27th. It's every Monday at 6:30 p.m. It's Zoom. The next week, we're going to go over how to build a funnel and a lead magnet to go along with that funnel. The following week, we're going to talk about copywriting and ads creation using ChatGPT. And then the last week is going to be social media content creation. So this is not only going to be about how to write with ChatGPT, but it's also going to be an infusion of my 11 plus years of marketing experience that I've condensed down into the most important shit that you need to know, because there's a lot of information out there that you don't need to know and you don't need to waste your time and effort on. So combining the two of these together to give you the tools to save you thousands of dollars so that you don't have to hire a marketing agency that may not get the thing done for you, and you can do it yourself quickly and easily, or teach somebody on your team to do it. So that's the scan code link for it. Did anybody text this number and did you get the link?
Yes.
Did you get the link?
Yes.
Love that. All right.
My phone heated up, so I had to turn it off.
Questions. Let's go to questions first.
I do have a question.
All right.
We're talking about tone and
Yes.
making it sound like us. So one thing that I did is I took something that I wrote. I shoved it in ChatGPT.
I like
and
that you say
said,
shoved.
Bro, what's my tone? And then it said, your tone is this, this, and this. So then later on, I asked it, write whatever, and use this tone.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't sound like it.
Yeah, because you're missing a key component to it. I will give you, this is a bonus that the other folks didn't get. I'm going to give you a prompt for how to generate that tone of voice and to generate the legend for it. All right, so this is also some extra stuff here. You're not going to be able to copy all this at once, but so these dynamic variables, if you use an email software, right, it's like contact first name and it's going to pull the person's first name. That's essentially what's happening here. It's the same technology. You fill in your name and business and you put in your writing example. So all the content that you just talked about, you're going to paste that here. And so this is the prompt. We have a series of written communications from a key figure at your business. Your task is to analyze these writings and create a detailed profile of the individual's tone of voice. Consider elements such as formality, use of jargon, optimism, verbosity, and other relevant characteristics that make their style unique. Use this information to define the brand's or person's tone of voice. Step 1, please analyze the following communication, and then here is that dynamic variable that's going to pull from up here. Step 2, after you've analyzed it, output a comprehensive description, that's what you got, of the brand's tone of voice, labeled brand tone, for us to use in content creation. Step 3, after you've done that and you've created the tone description, please write a narrative style paragraph that uses the tone of voice and encapsulates their style of writing and word choice. This will serve as a universal key to give context for how this tone of voice should be executed in future writings. The content of the universal key should reflect the type of content found in the writing examples. So you're now telling ChatGPT to look at how you write, create a replicate of how you write in the style and tone of your writing, and then you're going to put both of those paragraphs into your prompt for whatever you want to do. And so now you've given it, I did this with Chip. He's got a lot of written stuff, right? Yeah. I did it with Chip. He, like, as soon as we did it the first time, he was like, oh, this is exactly how I write. Yeah. So I would love to see if this actually works for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
I need to give you guys, I guess that's pretty much it. So if you can take a picture of that, it's there. Any questions? Any other questions?
Am I allowed to ask another question? I'm like confident. So, sorry. So let's say you are writing a book.
Okay.
And what I've been doing is like one chat per chapter. Is there a way to say, hey, remember that last chapter you wrote?
Yeah.
Can we like...
So I covered this. So I made a course on how to create a course with ChatGPT. Yeah. Chris is so far the only person that's actually gone through it. Essentially, the concept is similar to this universal key, is creating a legend, a course legend. So the first part of that video series talks about working with ChatGPT to create the outline and what's going to be included in the outline, right? So you've got your main module and your sub-modules, and then descriptions of what the main points of those sub-modules are and any other information for that, right? And so you put that main outline together and you ask ChatGPT to write a course legend that describes all this information. And when you're done with your creation of that, at whatever, like the chapter, course, whatever else, you can have it explain this concept and say, I have this legend. I'm ready to write the next chapter. Write me a continuation of where it's going to go next. Copy that paragraph, put it on your legend into your next thread, and now you can pick up on chapter 2. Thank you for a good, insightful conversation and question. All right, so no other questions. We're going to build some prompts. So I gave you, who feels overwhelmed?
With life?
Slow down. Yeah, I know.
GPT.
A few folks. All right, so I want to build a prompt. So when I did this on Monday night, Michelle wanted to do, she wanted to streamline her SOAP note creation procedure. And so I walked through how she could do SOAP note creations. What are some things that you think that you would like to create a prompt for that I can do for you and show you how I do these things? Anybody can go.
What about branding?
Branding?
Anybody want to do branding?
I need something more specific. Not branding. Not branding. I also need something more specific than just branding.
Like,
How do I design my mission statement?
Mission statement. All right.
Cool.
Okay. So all right. So let me just walk you through this process of how I would do this. So I would like to have some web browsing capabilities just in case I need it. Yep, only for the paid version. Yep. Yes, of course.
So using prompts, I created Marcus teaching us. You guys can see this.
Oh, I just saw it.
This is all AI generated using the things that he just taught us to do.
what kids are doing in a classroom with a
That's
teacher.
hilarious.
So that's
Teacher the devil.
I noticed you made
That's
Marcus more musky.
AI version. Well, I just described Marcus and AI did that all on itself. So he this is Flex Marcus.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, it's just using the things that he was saying. I just did it in the image section instead of so the output is an image as opposed to the output.
Not a plugin, just ChatGPT.
In Dolly. In one of the plugins, in one of the things that he was describing. So it was real timing like prompts that you were saying, but I was doing it. I was doing it in the image version to try and make it. See if I can
Cool. All right, so this is my process. I'm giving you guys my process of how I go through the entire thing when I don't know how to do something or when I don't know where to start. So I just kind of start very basic. I want to create a mission statement for my brand. I'd like to start by understanding more about it. I don't know what I don't know. Please tell me who are the most notable figures in the field of branding or thought leaders that are known for compelling brand story. And so it gave me some BS about the plugin. Here are a list of notable figures in the field of branding and storytelling based on my last update. Seth Godin, Simon Sinek, Marty Neumeier, Al Rees, David Escar, Bernadette, Donald Miller, so on and so forth. So now I have this opportunity, right, to look and see which one resonates most with me. So because I like Simon Sinek and Donald Miller, I'm going to say I want to combine those two together. Combining frameworks is also something that you can do. You can ask for, I talked about, there's only so much stuff that I can put in these presentations. Combining frameworks and understanding frameworks is also a really powerful tool. I made a social post about this, but frameworks exist for everything, right? They've existed way back in the, since business was done in the dawn of time. And they are around for a reason because they work. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel on what you're trying to do, ask ChatGPT to provide you with proven frameworks to accomplish your task. and it will give you a list similar to this of frameworks that you can use. Where you can take it a step further is that you can mishmash those together and pick and choose elements of each framework that you like to combine and make your own framework. That's how I made my own social media content creation strategy. I call it the integrated content model. Forgot what I named it. Okay, so
What are those little questions that are above where you're typing?
these are suggestions to help you figure out where to go next.
I set up Copilot on Windows today so I can talk to it and ask it to do things from Windows.
All right, so it's going to give me some information about the StoryBrand framework and Simon Sinek's Start With Why framework. And it should give me a little bit more information about these two. You can create a mission statement that not only defines your role of your brand. Let me go back. Let me start from the beginning here. They both have unique approaches to branding and mission statements, and you can draw from their methodologies to craft a compelling mission statement for your story, for your brand. Then it goes and lists all the things. We did a full workshop on Donna Miller's StoryBrand framework, and then Simon Sinek Start With Why. Why, how, and what, right? So what is the core belief, or why this is the core belief of the business, how, this is how you're gonna fulfill that core belief, and then what is the thing that you do to fulfill that core belief. So now that we've kind of gotten this information, we still don't know how to write a mission statement. So the advanced technique that I like to do here is I don't know based off of this, right? I still don't know what I'm gonna need. So what I'm gonna tell it here is that I don't know what to give you. So please ask me, let's turn it into a game. Please ask me the questions so that I can provide you the answers, and then you're gonna give me the mission statement afterwards.
Ooh, do it.
Actually, the Bing app on the phone, it's pretty good at transcribing your voice. And you can just ask it to, and it's GPT-4, so you can ask it to do things. Like, you don't even have to type it in. Like, driving or something, ask it to do something. Well, then you're just going to wear them on a smaller and smaller device. Like, you got the Meta glasses, you can just wear.
It'll be in your head. Just know.
All right, so absolutely, turning this into a game, like a questionnaire, can be fun and effective way to craft your mission statement. I'll ask you a series of questions based on the methodologies of both of the people. After each question, I'll provide a sample answer to give you an idea of what kind of response might fit. You can then give your own answer based on your business, right? So question one, who is the hero of your story, your customer? Question two, what's the primary problem? Question three, how does your brand act as a guide for your hero? What expertise or authority do you offer? What is the plan that your brand proposes to help out the hero? And what is the call to action for the hero? How does your brand define success for your customer? And what does failure look like? So also, all right, let me not speak until I've read it. Then it goes into the Start With Why framework, into continuation of question 8. Why does your brand exist? What is your core belief? How does your brand manifest that belief? What are your unique selling points? So since I don't have time for this, I'm going to have it make up answers for all these things. And I don't want it to craft the full framework, because I want to show you how I'm going to take the answers to the frameworks and put it in with some additional information to get the exact answer that I want. Ooh, Brian, what's your website?
Are you in Web Pilot? Probably, obviously.
Browser
That's
OP.
fine if it has my name. It's the same.
Well, that was the redirect URL I went to.
Yeah.
The output I am looking for. All right. So, ooh, it's maybe not going to be, yeah.
Why can't you access the
I think the plugin's broken right now.
still technology?
Just two short answers for like a fitness trainer or an ice cream shop or something.
Yeah. All right. So,
You like a personal trainer? Yeah.
oh, sorry. I guess I should have done that, shouldn't I?
What did he pick?
We did. No, never mind.
All right. So, copying and paste all of this. I'll do this in a new thread. If I can get it to actually scroll. So I've got some information about my business, and I want to create a mission statement according to Simon Sinek's framework. So here's how we're going to assemble this.
GPT will get upset if you all caps.
It's more my
It's
OCD.
like, how dare you all caps me? I'm going to give you some bullshit hallucinations.
Remember you when it tries to take over the world.
We're not far from that.
Um,
I think a good takeaway from this is how complicated this can actually be
Mhm.
for even like a professional in the industry.
But one thing I think you can take from it is just tell it what you want.
Yeah.
Like if you think it's going to assume things, you're going to get bullshit. But if you can just like be specific on what you want, and if you're not sure what you want, ask it what you want, and then and he doesn't have to be 20 questions. Give me 3 questions that'll help you figure out an answer.
yeah, you can just keep going from there, right? I
I'm
am
just gonna say hire the professional.
that too. That too.
That's my route.
That works. That also works. Like I'm not an algorithm expert, right? I'm not out here writing code. So this is the business information. I want this to be written without jargon and at a 5th grade reading level.
That's important.
Because that is the average reading level of the U.S. citizen.
Far more than average. It's like 80%. Yeah.
Like when you're in Japan, what is it? Like
Reading and comprehension. There's
Okay, last one here. I'm gonna throw a little extra pizzazz on there.
So all of these instructions you give it, that goes towards your token limit?
Mm-hmm.
just on that thread. So he just started a whole new thread, but he took all the primary stuff from the last thread, so he called it all down into what he really wants. Now he has a whole new thread to start a whole new conversation that can go and use up a lot more tokens.
Okay, so So I will give you information about my business, delimited by // My objective is to create a mission statement for my business. And I gave all the business information that we just created, right? Again, more delimiters. I want this to be written without jargon and at a 5th grade reading level. My main product that I provide to people is one of highly tailored brand messaging packages. All right. At the end of the mission statement, please give me an alternative version in a table format. Let's see what it comes back with.
Imagine like the processing power that's going on in some fucking server database somewhere right now. It's heating up the room. It's like,
yeah, you thought your phone was going off, was heating up.
Random question. I don't know if you know the answer. Who is like right now? Who's using ChatGPT and what is it for primarily?
Like in general?
Yeah, like what is the audience? Is it like random like teenagers just getting it, like using it as Google?
Anybody.
People like us?
Anybody. It's anybody and everybody. Like that's the really cool thing about this is I might need to copy and paste all this again.
he's really advanced with it, but you just ask it dumb questions. I do all the time, and usually it gives me some good ideas of what to talk about next or ask next.
That's the really cool thing about this is that it is like we don't know the use cases. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, went on a world tour to talk to people about how they're using ChatGPT and get the different use cases. And he thought it was really, really cool to understand how people are using this, right? So some people may be using it to help keep themselves on track for personal motivation. Some people could be using it as a tutor. Some people could be using it to learn a new language. Or some people could use it to diagnose their vet report that the vet said that their dog was going to die. And they took that report and ran it through ChatGPT and took that information to another vet, and saved the dog's life. That's a true story. All right. We help new businesses, new business dreamers turn their great ideas into real shops and services. Our friends who are smart business leaders teach them how to make good plans and find the best ways to grow. We're like guides on a mountain climb. We show you the paths that work. Come talk to us for free. Man, this is 5th grade. Come talk to us for free, and we'll help you make your business dreams come true. When you're ready, we'll be cheering you as you open your doors, get your first dollars, and make your mark on the world. We know you can do amazing things, and we've got all the tools and friends to help build your adventure. Table format, our promise, we make business dreams come true. What we do, we teach you with easy plans and smart tips. Your journey, start with a free chat, then watch your idea grow and your success. Open your doors, earn your first money, and shine. So I said 5th grade. All right, so what can you do here, right? What can you do from here? So you've given it some context. So now you can go through the process of creating a landing page, right? So you can say act as a direct response marketer. Let me give you a tip on this one. Act as a direct response marketer, Jim Edwards, specifically. And we're going to write this landing page.
Who's Jim Edwards?
He's a ClickFunnels dude.
Direct response.
Oh.
Is he ClickFunnels? So not Russell?
He's a part of it.
But I mean, like, why select? You don't have to get into it.
Okay.
Why Jim versus?
Oh, because Jim is the copywriting expert.
Gotcha.
Crazy. Just goes look for all his material, and that becomes the new search, the brain that it's using at that point. It just goes from, if you have enough material out there, data out there.
All right. Creating an effective landing page starts with all about understanding your audience's needs and how your product will help product or service fulfill them. Let's begin with the hero section, which is the first thing visitors see when they land on your page. It needs to grab attention, introduce your offer, and encourage the visitor to keep reading. Here's a draft. Make your business dream a reality. Free business vision consultation. Are you an aspiring entrepreneur with a big idea? Not sure where to start? Feel like you're climbing a mountain without a map? Let's change that. Join forces with those who have already conquered the business peaks. Get personalized one-on-one coaching from experts who have been in your shoes and have the success stories to prove it. Your vision, our strategy, unstoppable success. Sign up for your free consult now. And again,
I like that, your vision, our strategy.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You don't have to take everything from it.
What's that?
You can just get your nuggets.
Yeah.
What was the question, Vanessa?
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry. I said act as direct response marketer, Jim Edwards, and please help me craft my landing page. Use his framework and start with the first hero section. Again, so if you know of a specific individual, right? Like that Jim Edwards is a master at copywriting. Like I love his book, Copywriting Secrets. It's all about like he did the science out of all so ClickFunnels, he's a part of ClickFunnels, right? And that means that a lot of people have paid him to write funnel copy for people. And so he's gotten to see the A/B test. He's gotten to see the results of millions of dollars of ad spend. And so they change slight little things according to these frameworks that they have. And they've tested it. They know what works, right? And he's built frameworks to be able to write headlines, to write landing pages, all these different things. So when you're asking for using a specific expert's knowledge, it's because you know that that person has gone through the gamut, they've tested these things, and they know them to work. And so now ChatGPT knows that information, and it can use that framework to do the thing that you're asking it to do. But yeah, essentially from here, like you can now say, what's the next, what's the next best section, right? And it's going to give you some suggestions. The next best section, according to Jim's framework, is going to be the problem agitation stage. This is where you're going to delve deeper into the problems that your potential clients are facing, agitates those problems, and makes the reader feel the pain and cost of the problem, and then present your service as the solution. This is, if you've ever worked with me, this is exactly what I do. This section is critical because it builds an emotional connection with the reader, and it shows that you understand the struggles that they're facing, right? You want to be talking about pain and pleasure when you're talking to folks about your marketing, right? And so this is exactly what it's going into. Do these challenges sound familiar, right? Feeling lost. Every entrepreneur has a vision, but not everybody knows the steps to make it real. You might feel like you're wandering in the wilderness of business. Love this nature theme. Looking for a clear path forward. The agitation. Wasted time and money. Without a map, you can spend months or even years, along with thousands of dollars, chasing the wrong strategies. Each wrong turn means lost opportunities, while others reach the summit of success. Solution, your guiding star to success. That's where we come in. Imagine having a seasoned guide who's navigated this terrain before. Our mentorship program is your compass to doing the business work. With our proven strategies and personalized advice, we'll help you craft a concrete business plan that is as unique as your vision. By enrolling in the program, you'll get bullet points. Discover your path with a free consultation, call to action, right? And then you kind of rinse, repeat on this process, right? What's the next section? All right, it's going to give you that. And so you have just written an entire funnel page, and go to ClickFunnels, go to my platform, go pick one of the templates and drop this information in. And you've just saved yourself $2,500 bucks. All right, 7 minutes. What else?
Ask a question. You said
Yes.
this at the beginning. I'm going to butcher what you said. Something about clicking 3 dots
Mm-hmm.
in order to, I don't remember what you said.
Bottom left.
Yeah, this is the 3-dot menu down here. This is where settings, custom instructions lives. Settings and beta is where you'll turn on advanced data, the code interpreter, and the plugins section.
What's custom instructions?
That's where you're going to put in the information about your business. So what you do, how you approach things, all those things.
That saves a lot of time.
Or that prompt that I gave you earlier,
Yeah,
the
you wanna
act
spend
as
some time
an
on that.
assistant.
Whoa. Does custom instructions also include like how we would
You can.
talk about? Okay.
You can, yeah.
Okay.
So the 2 sections here, what would you like ChatGPT to know about your business or know about you? And then how would you like ChatGPT to respond?
Wow. So that's kind of like a legend.
Mhm.
Not a legend.
A little bit. It gives it some background and some customization. And you also have the opportunity to toggle this on and off. So like the gig worker is really cool, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to do it every single time.
Yeah.
So you can turn it off and turn it on if you want to.
And
I'll
you can
be-
tell it what you do not want.
Yes, correct.
I would love to have multiple custom instruction boxes
It's coming. It's
That's what I
coming.
was thinking too.
because
you have all
yeah,
this- Yeah.
That's so cool.
because I've got so many like
You can do it yourself now. You can create a Word doc and just go
Just
copy
pull
and
it
paste it
from
in there.
there.
Yeah.
won't read. Oh yeah, copy and paste each time.
Yeah.
Probably eventually.
Every
they'll
new
have
session,
multiple-
you have a new objective. If you can narrow it down, at least with that, that scope.
But oh,
Oh, okay. Here's a use case for that. let's say that you have custom instructions for the community, and you have a specific way that you want to communicate to the community, and you have custom instructions for the general public who don't know what you do, who don't know what's involved here. Different set, you're going to communicate to those people differently. You're going to communicate different ideas. Kind of think of it that way. So you can create a library of, similar to a prompt library.
And then you just go to that doc, copy and paste it to the next new chat.
Yep.
And then switch back to the other one for the old chat.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. That's all I got for you guys.
Thanks, Marcus.
So much, Mark.
You are most welcome. Does anybody need prompts like the copy paste, right? Like, do you feel like you've got them all? You want to email? What's your email? Yeah, this one.
Will you can email us that whole list? Or
The ones that I showed
asking for just one?
the
Okay.
one that I showed in here.
Okay.
So the custom instructions and the what was the other one I did? I can't remember what the other one was. I had 2 prompts in there. Is in the deck, and then I can also send the tone of voice thing. I have your email. Got you. I have you. Yes.
To get like started from the very beginning,
Yes.
like, do I type in Google ChatGPT? and then,
Yes.
like, sign up?
Okay.
Like,
I'm gonna
this
make.
is the first page? 'Cause
I'm gonna.
I don't even have that.
Yes. I thought that I went to the bare base bones, but I need to start at Google first.